A couple of weeks ago, there was a very thoughtful, not very lengthy article in the National Journal called China's Cyber Militia. And that story led with the assertion based on discussions with people supposedly in the know in the executive branch that not only was the outage in 03 in the northeastern part of the United States and eastern Canada, previously attributed to tree branches falling in Cleveland on power lines, not only was that done by Chinese paragovernmental hackers, but the outage in eastern Florida in February was also from the same source. This morning's papers talk about Chinese hacking into Capitol Hill offices.
Jay's office?
Not his yet, as far as we know from the press. The Congressman Wolf was on it. Except, with the notable exception of the two executive branch officials on this panel, and I think John's chairman, who is seeking legislative authority to deal with some of these problems, I would say in the executive branch of the United States and in the state public utility commissions and utilities, the vulnerabilities of our grid to hacking and intentional interference have been met by absolutely full-body ignorance and lack of willingness even to consider or talk about the issue. Now, I'm as big a fan as anybody of going electric with vehicles, but can any of you tell us something about somebody somewhere who is trying to take some action to keep the grid from being taken down by foreign governments, by terrorists, by whoever, let's say 12-year-old hackers? The existing systems probably protect us pretty well against 9-year-old hackers.
John, why don't you're closest. Let's start with John.
And Jim did allude to the fact that Chairman Keller has testified before a House committee indicating that FERC needs additional authority. As some of you may know, FERC was given the authority in the 2005 EPAC for responsibility of reliability of the grid. That wasn't necessarily security, but certainly security should be subsumed in reliability. And as such, we have developed, or actually the entity who we, under that act as our reliability organization, the NERC, has developed standards, cybersecurity standards, that we in fact have adopted, FERC has adopted. Now, that doesn't close all the loopholes. That's ultimately why Chairman Keller asked for this additional authority from Congress, and I understand the legislation is being drafted, and hopefully that will be expeditiously processed, and we'll get these closed up. But Jim is correct. I mean, we need the authority to ultimately direct the utilities from FERC to do certain things with respect to cybersecurity. We don't have that authority yet. We need it.
Andy, then we'll go to you.
Jim successfully scared the hell out of me last time he and Jay and I were together in California, and courteously recommended that I get a classified briefing on this. And so the D-class part is that we can speak to is this isn't the cyber hacking that you think of just for passwords. This is the capacity to destroy hardware in your home, at airports, at military bases, your car, if connected through the grid. Okay, and I see that the Undersecretary of Homeland Security for Technology Development's in the second row here. This is what he does 100% of the time. I think that's why he's here. But the main point, Jim, that you leave us with is security cannot be less of a concern than environment in the current context of immediacy as we plan out energy transformation. And that is absolutely true if we're talking about clean energy superhighways, which I would like to see. We have got to integrate all of our thinking about security if we want the appropriate on and off ramps at our homes, at commercial facilities, at military infrastructure.
I sit on a National Academy of Sciences panel with the lovely title of Essentially Terrorism in the Grid. And we've been waiting with a finished paper on this to get it out to the public. The gist of it might say, if it were ever released, that in fact there's a lot of work going on security. There are significant efforts underway by utilities in advance or in addition to getting additional authorities on this. There is because of the way that our grid is designed, it would be very, very, very unlikely to be able to take out the grid.
It's too inefficient.
It's too inefficient and it's too disparate. There are bigger threats to the grid and to the modernization of it, and it's the aging infrastructure. It's what you all talked about before, which is that these little pieces all out there. In fact, having the plug-in hybrid system designed right would actually decentralize the grid and make it more robust. So I just, Jim, with all due respect, I wouldn't want to leave it out there that nobody's doing anything on this topic. I think that's not true.
John, real quick.
Well, I think I wanted to make the distribution point, but I think the other thing, as Jim raises, it scares us with the thought of moving to a system of transportation based more on electricity. The very real security threats from doing nothing are intense. Mass migration, weakened failing states, scarce water resources, the capacity of the United States to kind of cope with doing nothing will soon swamp even the kind of nightmare scenarios that Jim's talking about. So I think we've got to get out of it. We've got to move down this track.
The point is they're not one or the other.
Right.
They're not one or the other. You have to incorporate the security as you move to the clean energy electrons.